Hi there. It's quite windy today, and we actually had snow yesterday, but now it's springtime here in Norway. I don't know if you can hear this, but there's a helicopter going back and forth, and they are building in the background. So this forest is becoming smaller and smaller because they are building more and more houses. So I can hear it. But okay, let's go and sit by the fire. Okay, let's get the kettle on. I'm not very happy with my campfire today. I didn't do a very good job. But anyway, if you have been following my channel, you have probably noticed that I'm not a big fan of the big cities. And I do understand why some people, they have to live in a big city. That's just the way it is because of work and things like that. But I do think that most people will have a better life outside of the big cities. I already talked about how the big cities may become death traps in the coming months. I do believe that resources will be somewhat scarce, and when you have limited resources around you, like food, clean water, housing and so on, people will people tend to become quite nasty when you're in a situation like that. They become desperate. In this video I want to try to talk a little bit about how I think that big cities are becoming prisons. Now, before I continue with this video, may I ask that you consider subscribing to this channel. It really helps the channel, and especially when you're talking about topics like this. YouTube doesn't really favor videos where you talk about these topics, so please consider subscribing. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Okay, thank you. First of all, it's much easier to monitor people in a big city because everywhere you go there are cameras, there are... In contrast, you know, when I walk somewhere in this forest, it's like I can walk wherever I want to and nobody knows where I am. I generally don't bring a mobile phone. I don't have a smartphone and all that. I've talked about that as well. In a big city, you have cameras everywhere. All your transactions are monitored. Your social interaction is monitored. There is a surveillance all over the place, so that it's very difficult to move about unnoticed in a big city. Now, for some people, you know, they don't see a problem with that. I do see a problem with that, and it has to do with freedom. When you add to that things like a lockdown, curfew, travel restrictions, of course, those draconian rules that we are seeing now in many countries, they do not only apply to cities, you know, in general, but you become more, your choices become more limited, I would say, in a big city, because you can't really get out of the city if you have a lockdown, right? You can't get that far, and that's a problem. There is also the thing with, and I've noticed this, the mayors of big cities, they tend to To me, it seems like they like this power that they have been given a little bit too much, you know, and that worries me. It's normally totally silent here, but this means that they have stolen yet another part of this woodland, and they have started building even more houses. So it kind of illustrates what I'm talking about here. I'm not in a big city, I'm not near a big city, but still, that sound and the helicopter means that the woodland is getting smaller again. But I would say that if you live in a big city, you should try to get out now, because it's getting very close to, yeah, bad things will happen. And I know people are talking about, or the politicians rather, are talking about, we're going to open up, now we're open up everything, and it's going to be awesome. And well, they're not saying exactly that, but that's the angle that they're using. Now, if you read about the Great Reset, and that is not a conspiracy theory, it's not. Go to the World Economic Forum's website, and you can read about the Great Reset there. Go to the internet and do a search for Klaus Schwab, and you will see that these people, these unelected new kings, I'm doing this with my fingers now, they see themselves as kings, and they want people to move into these huge mega cities. They want people to move out of the countryside. And this is a movement that we have to fight, because it is about our independence. It is about our ability to sustain ourselves in, you know, if things go sideways. It's about freedom. And I've talked about this before. Now, what I think is that we're going to see we are already seeing a change in the culture, so to speak, here in, you know, Europe and North America. This was made possible by the pandemic, or should I say the rules and restrictions implemented because of COVID. Yeah, and people are now more accepting of rules, regulations, control, surveillance. They are more accepting of living with much less freedom than they were used to. You know, we took our freedom for granted, and now, I mean, now it's just very sad to see how many people, they seem to have just accepted that, well, no, this is the new normal. This is how it's going to be now. What we're seeing is that independence is discouraged. Disobedience is punished. And if you're a freedom-loving person, it's almost like now you're an enemy of the state. And we are also seeing that people are kept scared. You're supposed to be afraid. Now, these people who feel that they are in charge of everything, they want to keep you scared. They want to keep you in a state of fear. And by the way, when I'm saying you, I'm not talking about you, but people in general. People who buy into this whole thing. They want also to keep you comfortable enough to not speak out about anything, to just keep you obedient, to keep you there in your pod. And of course, this doesn't apply only to people in big cities, but I think that we are seeing a more condensed version of this among people in the cities now. I might be wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments. But this taking away of people's freedom, taking away your responsibility. They're kind of making you into a child, and I don't like that. It's a very dangerous and harmful development that we're seeing. I hope people won't choose that kind of life. I hope people will refuse to get into that pod. It's like in this movie, you know, Matrix. I remember, I don't know if you've seen it, it's a bit of a spoiler here, but I think one of the people who were taken out of these pods, he wanted to get back because he was comfortable there. He knew it was all a lie, but he felt life was easier in the pod, so he wanted to get back. So I guess that if you're still watching this video, you're one of the people who can see this, you know, because it's quite obvious, isn't it? But my question to all the other people who are so comfortable in their little pods, will they wake up? Will they wake up? And if they do, will they dare to step out of the pod? Will they dare to enter the real world? Will they dare to take responsibility for themselves, for their actions? Will they have the strength to shape their own future, their own destiny? I honestly don't know. But okay, that was my video for today, and hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments, and yeah, stay strong. Okay, bye.